We're going to talk much more about this hub in St. Louis, this cargo hub. Samuel Mok is the managing member of Condor International Advisors. Thank you very much, and welcome back to the show, and Happy Chinese New Year, by the way.
Happy Chinese New Year to you and to the audience.
Yes, they very much appreciate it. Now, speaking of which, this hub, for a lot of our folks, it's in St. Louis. Craig tried to explain where it is, but it's essentially near, a few hours from Chicago.
Right.
Why is this such a big deal to have a cargo hub in the middle of the United States? I mean, FedEx has one in Memphis. There's plenty of organizations that has it. Why is this one in particular a big deal?
I think the name is correct. It's called a big idea, but the one minor problem is it didn't say big profitable idea. So what happened is it served a lot of people in the Midwest. But I think when they built this, a lot of big names are involved. So therefore, it's called, I think that's why it's a big idea. Senator Kit Bond, Senator Clem McCaskill on our side, and then on the Chinese side, Ambassador Zhou Wenzhong, Li Xiaoxing, and also Huang Qisan. So you got some big heavyweight. But I think it's one of those classic cases that they think if you build it, they will come. Well, they haven't come yet.
Well, they haven't come yet. Now, for a lot of our folks, St. Louis used to be one of the hubs for TWA, which later got absorbed by American Airlines. And then they, of course, downsized that entire hub for at least passenger service. I'm going to assume that cargo service was affected as well. What does this mean for global trade if it were to be more fully utilized?
I think symbolically, it's very important. If you read American history, St. Louis is where all the westward ho wagon trade started in the old days. A lot of them started from St. Louis. Okay, so what happened is going west, and China's in the west. So I think that's important. The other thing, too, is if you look at that whole area, you don't really have any major hub. I think there's a hub in Kansas City with FedEx, I believe. But from that whole area, Chicago and south, I think if they put together and make it a goal, it can serve a lot of people, bring jobs. The unfortunate thing is when they started, it was just about the economic recession hit.
I mean, this is fascinating because when I was in Asia, a lot of focus was on the west coast of the United States, whether it was Seattle, whether it was San Francisco or Los Angeles. And then, of course, you look at the eastern part of the U.S. with New York and Washington, D.C. here. There's plenty of trade, but in the middle gets a lot of times ignored.
Yes.
Basically, Chicago onwards down. Why is this taking so long? Because for a lot of people watching, this is not difficult to do, but it has become difficult to do, has it not?
Well, in some way, yes, because like many similar Sino-American projects, the Chinese are learning very fast that the American government process is a lot more bureaucratic than the Chinese. It just takes a lot of legislation back and forth. As you probably know, the tax credit, I'm not really sure the tax credit will work because it will help build the warehouse. But what are you going to put in those warehouses? Who is going to come and use those warehouses? So I think the business case needs to be relooked at.
I mean, this is a problem of build it and they did not come, essentially.
Right.
Am I right? I mean, we think about from a business standpoint, you build a warehouse, you build an airport, and businesses will come and utilize it. But this is a classic example of it. It's somewhat failed in that sense, is that they've built it, it hasn't come, and we're still hoping that it will come. Is this being blindly optimistic?
I think it's somewhat overly optimistic, but I think there's a business case to be made there. I have not been able to get my hands on any study that say who will benefit from that and what's economic advantage. Conceptually, it's great because there's really no direct link in the middle in the heartland, but they don't have a direct major carrier being stationed there. Number one, China Cargo Airline flies there and then they stopped. And on the other hand, they don't have a China partner. Who are the other cities? Ningbo and Shanghai, but Shanghai doesn't really need St. Louis.
They need bigger commitments. They need big airlines. They need some real commitments. Samuel Mok, always good to have you on the show. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and Happy New Year.
And to you.